I've got the spores, the sickness. There's the twins in my brain.
Welcome to today's Domestique Cycling Podcast with Domestique Ethan, a now regular guest for our team, but also with Tobias Halland Johannessen, winner of the Tour de l'Avenir 2021, who then had to conquer a persistent knee injury, where he also suffered from in 2020, but afterwards finished third in the Tour de France Stage 2 Basque last year behind two cycling gods Pogacar and Vingegaard, talking about the bounce back. Welcome Tobias and Ethan.
Hello.
Thank you.
I already mentioned the knee injury, Tobias. How was that at the moment? Last year it looked like it's finally over, those troubles.
Yeah, now for the first time in a couple of years, I think it's been a year with consistent training and no time off the bike. And it's really hard mentally when you struggle with a knee injury and you feel like it's never going away. But my coach and I have found the ways that we can keep it in under control. And it feels just really nice to be able to. All the suffering on the bike is just because I'm trying to go fast and not because the knees hurt. So that's a big step for me. And I enjoy cycling without pain in the knees so much that it's so much easier to dig deep in training and in the races because I know how painful it is to not be able to do it.
Yeah, that's great to hear, because last year you also showed your talent. I think you had to DNF in Algarve because of your knee, but then you bounced back to Catalonia and finished top 20 in both Flèche Wallonne and Liège, Bastogne-Liège. 2 months after you had to DNF because of your knee. That shows your amazing talent to pick up form that quick.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of the things I've been able to develop as the years have gone by when I had pain in my knees. Is I know other types of training I can do, and I had it wasn't too bad in Algarve, but I had to take it a bit easy for a couple of days. But I felt like if I just take it easy, it will be fine. But I did some, I don't know what you call it, but we call it ellipse machine, where you can run without actually running. And 200 in heart rate on that machine a couple of days because I just went full gas. So I really tried to keep the condition, and I think that's one of the best things is that I find ways to keep improving as a cyclist, even though I can't ride a bike. So I think that's why I can come back quite easily after injury, because I do train almost the same amount of hours, just other things, maybe skiing or running. So that's one thing I have developed, I think, and it's good.
Yeah, that's a good way indeed. So now you had a perfect winter, also without any problems, I read.
Yeah, it's been actually without any problems at all, just touch wood, but not been sick, and the knees have been working perfectly, and been training with my twin brother and Rasmus Tiller in Gran Canaria now the last weeks, and also been able to start the season better than I did last year. So everything's looking better this year than last year. So I hope it will continue this way.
That's great to hear. And can Rasmus Tiller follow you two twin brothers uphill a bit?
Yeah, he's actually in training. He's really strong, and I really have to push to get rid of him. But sometimes I'm able to drop him in the climbs, but other times he's a strong guy, and I think that's also why he can win some races that other sprinters can't win, because he's quite good uphill, even though he doesn't believe it himself always. But he's a strong guy.
Yeah, he's like 83 kilos, but he has so much watts that he still gets over pretty climbing courses.
Yeah, that's crazy how much watts that bike needs to handle compared to my bike.
Yeah, poor bike.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about Calvia, the first Mallorca race in which you also participated. Simon Carr won out of the early break. He had to battle with McNulty and Vlasov, who came fresh out of the peloton, fresh. But Carles had a lot of KJs in the leg in comparison with those two, and he still won it. So that was, super impressive. Can you maybe, talk about how big the difference is riding before the peloton and versus riding in the peloton in the wheels?
Yeah, it's a big difference, and especially I think it was crazy how strong he was that day. I think if I would have been in his position in the end there, I wouldn't have won. But I think the first thing for him that day was he was just the strongest guy, and it was also you use a lot more energy in the break because you need to stay in the wind, and you also need to push the pace from the start. So hats off to him that he made it. But I think also the thing I at least experienced in those races is that the downhills and stuff are really slippery, even though it's dry. It's like those green greasy stuff on the asphalt, and so I was like really scared of going downhill. So for me it was like mentally I was not prepared for what was coming in the downhill. So I think that day it would have been a good thing to be in the break and to be a bit more in control of what you're doing in the downhills, and because in the peloton it split in one of the downhills and then it just all blew apart, and so for me I didn't see a car the whole day because I was just struggling behind in the peloton. So but I think he was the strongest guy, and that's the most important. But I think it was a good day for the break.
So that your results that day wasn't too good was more due to the descents than due to your legs?
Yeah, I felt quite good, but normally the first races it's a bit like you're not used to staying in the peloton, and I feel like everyone else is just taking too much risk, and I feel like I don't want to be here. But as you do a couple of races, you're into it again, and then it feels normal. But the first race, it's always like this, at least for me. And also the legs are not used to like going full gas the whole time, so you get a bit more tired than you do when you have had a couple of race days in the legs. So I was just feeling better throughout the week in Mallorca, and that's normally how it is for me. But I think some guys are just flying from the start, and that's impressive.
You also, if I looked at your Strava right, didn't do a lot of intensity yet in the winter, mainly base building. I think is that, with a goal further in the season to not be in too much of a top shape yet now.
Yeah, I think for the first time I've been able to like plan the season from the start because of no injuries, and my coach and I have been looking at some races that we really want to perform in, and we have to use the first part of the season as a build up to that. And I think also me as a rider, I don't need really that much of intensity to be in like good enough shape to race. So the main focus has been just consistency. My coach is for now it's like all we have to think about is that you need to train the next week again, and then you train the next week after that, and it's not about peaking and doing all of those crazy interval sessions. It's just more like the basic training, and for now it seems to work, and we have a couple of goals that are waiting further into the season, and I will for sure do some more intensity before that. But now I use the races a bit to get some intensity in the legs and just continue the consistent work that I try to do.
You also need a good mentality to get through the winter in Norway, because you need to Zwift a lot, because you can not train outside. How difficult is it to get those hours in on Zwift? Because I wouldn't be able to do so. I would go crazy.
Yeah, we are getting a bit crazy, but we have a joke in Norway that says it's you need to pay double the price if you go training on Zwift. So every hour counts as 2 if you do it on Zwift. So I think, but when you get used to it, it's for sure it's a big difference, because before they had to stare at the wall and maybe if they were lucky listen to some music, but now we can race on Zwift and we can ride together. And normally I connect with Anders, my twin brother, and Rasmus maybe on FaceTime, and we have a chat, and it's not too bad actually, and but I try to ride as many kilometers outside as possible. But this winter has been crazy in Norway. Too much snow.
Yeah, I was about to say about that. It's been like a historically bad winter for Norway, hasn't it? Has that played any effect on you, really?
Yeah, it's been normally I do most of the longer endurance rides outside because we have like studded tires on the cyclocross bikes, so you can ride on ice and snow. But now it's been like -20 and -25, and then it's not possible. I freeze a lot and I can't do it. So I saw Leknesund, he was out riding, but he's from further north and he's a polar bear and I'm not. So then I have to stick with Swift. But yeah, I think it's you get a lot of things you wouldn't get outside because you can have so much control on the training and what you're doing. And my coach, he just puts in the program and all I need to do is pedal, and then so I don't need to think. I can just do whatever he wants, and I don't need to think about everything. Or if it's a downhill, I don't care because I just pedal, and it's still 300 watts if my coach wants it to be that. So yeah, it's good things about the turbo trainer as well, but it is a bit boring.
A lot of Belgian riders are moving to Spain to hide from the bad winter. Isn't that something that crossed your mind to maybe do that, or?
It's been after 4 hours on turbo where I think the legs are too bad and I need to move. But I enjoy the different seasons in Norway, and I think some of the best rides I've had have been on snow when it's like you don't hear the sound of the tires because it's all quiet and everything is white, and it's really nice. So normally we have a better winters than this, but I think the next week I will ride a bit outside again on snow with studded tires, and I really enjoy that. So I think it would be hard to sitting in Spain and see the nice weather here, and I enjoy home too much maybe.
I get that, yeah. And Johannes Kulstedt, he did a pretty good race in Calvi already as a 19-year-old. Can you maybe explain how impressive that is for such a young rider?
I think we get a bit like there's too many young guys doing the crazy stuff in cycling nowadays, so you don't really think about it. But it's like I forget that he's 19 years old and it's the first year as a pro because now I just feel like he's a good pro cyclist, and of course you expect a lot of good results by him because he's so good in training, and he's a nice guy as well. So it's like you forget that he's so young, and it's crazy because I wouldn't be able to do that when I was 19. I was still riding around in the forest and trying to be a mountain bike cyclist, and I think I almost hadn't done 100 Ks on the bike yet. So it moves fast, the direction where things are going in cycling now. But he's a nice guy, and I think he is one of the biggest talents we have in Norway now. Really good cyclist at 19 years old. That's crazy.
What impresses me the most as well is his attitude after speaking with him. He has like the confidence, you need really. And he's just all so friendly, what I've noticed.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think it's good because normally when it comes a new guy and he thinks he can win races out of nothing, you think he's crazy. But then you see he performs like that, and you think, shit, he can win races the next day. Because, and it's really nice for us that we are both racing in Mallorca, and we can play a bit with each other in the races. And it was a really nice experience to race with him there.
Yeah, perfect too. I think Johannes can attack because he has a sprint, but he's not as fast as you. So you can stay a bit more back and go for the sprint.
Yeah, that makes a big difference for us as the team, because I think that's the biggest difference this year, that we're a bit more climbers in the team, and we get Andreas Leknesund and also Johannes, as you mentioned, and my twin brother as well. And if we can ride a bit together, we can start playing the team tactics a bit, and we're missing that a bit the last years, but now it's really fun to race like this.
onto Serra Ramantuna. It was Lennart van Eetveld versus Brendan McNulty versus Alexander Vlasov for the win, which was also a very interesting battle. With the 3-up sprint at the end, definitely for climbers, fast sprinters at the end. So did you expect that Lennart van Eetveld would take that win? Because like McNulty and Vlasov are pretty fast.
Yeah, it's crazy, and he is also one of those young guys that are just really good from the start. And I think it's cool because he went past me on the climb, and I saw that he was good that day. And he started the climb behind because we were in a group that were going into the climb before the other guys. So it's impressive to come from the second group there and just going up to those two in the front and then beating them in the sprint. That was, I think he deserved that win, and he was the strongest on the climb, I think.
I also already did a lot of crazy training this winter, a lot of intensity, almost got to 7 watts per kilo for 20 minutes this winter. So yeah, he has been doing a lot of intensity. So it was also pretty logical that he was already in this shape. But Vlasov was complaining about the finish. It was a finish straight after a downhill. Did you have the same opinion, or how do you look at it?
I think everyone knew that the race was going to be decided on the downhill, and I think some races are going to be like that, and I think you can't complain afterwards. I think you need to complain before, but I can understand his frustration because sometimes you feel like some riders take too much risk, and it could have been avoided with having like the sprint on a flat or maybe on the top of the climb. But I think it's good that cycling has different kind of finishes, and it opens up the race for a bit more riders. So I think for me it was no problem. I think we knew that the race would be like this, and then you have to play by the race rules. So yeah, I think, but I can understand that he's a bit disappointed about being beaten by a young guy that's climbing like this and also can sprint.
And you had a lot better day than in Calvi, I think. You finished 8th. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, I felt really good, and I did the first race and felt a bit like, I need to get things going. Maybe the Mallorca races isn't for me, but then on that day I felt like, the legs are good, and I think I can be at the front of this race. And when we came to Pugmayor, I was just trying to pace myself, and I was lucky that the EF set the pace in the bottom. And then it's, I think in the early start of the season, it's good to test the legs a bit. So I wanted to try to be with the best and not like just stay at my pace. I wanted to really try, and I think I always want to race for the win. So I maybe tried a bit too much to stay in the wheel of Vlasov when he attacked, because he was strong. But so I had to let them go, and then Van Wilder and me were trying to work together, and we cooperated quite nice. And we really thought we could manage to get them in the downhill, because I think at the top it wasn't more than 20-25 seconds or something. So then we decided that we are gonna cooperate and try to race for the win, and it didn't work out in the end because there was some guys coming up from behind, and also the Tudor guy, he was attacking us. So but I was still trying to race for the win, and then I had to use a bit power to try for that, and then I didn't have the legs in the end. But it was a good start before the next days on America, and I felt a bit better.
It's great to hear. Maybe onto the next race, Pollença Port Tandraz, where you finished even better than in Tramontuna. You finished 4th. How did that race go?
Yeah, that day I felt like now I'm back. Now I feel like I'm back in race mode, and I felt I'm on point where I should be when we have decided on the planning meeting before the race that we need to be in the front here and there, and I was making every point as I should, and I saw that Johannes and Martin Buguriansa also had good legs, so in the end we could make some attacks and anticipate the race a bit, because we were hoping that we could get in front of Lasso and McNulty and those guys, because we knew that it would be hard in the end. But I felt like both Johannes and me did a really good job, and we also had Idar in the break, which helped a bit. We didn't need to ride in the groups that were formed behind, and in the end I felt like I had really good legs, felt in good shape, and then I decided to just ride as hard as I could on the climbs, and also felt better in the downhills, so I could manage to stay in the group that were fighting for the win. And in the end, the Tudor guy, he was making some attacks on the flat that were a bit killed my legs a bit, so the sprint wasn't too good for me, but I think it was a really positive race for me, and it really made me believe that I've done something right in the winter, and my coach and I we can continue our plan, because we know that the training has worked until now, and we can just have some confidence into the next period, and that was the main goal of Mallorca, and I think it was exactly as good as it could be.
Yeah, definitely. If you look at the fact that you haven't done a lot of intensity yet, that needs to give trust to your biggest goals this season, because there's a big margin to gain still.
Yeah, and I feel I was in quite good shape around the Tour de France last year, and especially after the Tour, and so I know which level I can reach, and now I have a bit more relaxed, because I think it's really possible to get to that level, and maybe even beyond that level, and made the training a bit easier now, because I really believe in what I do, and you always are a bit unsure before the season, because you don't know where you stand against all the others, but it was a positive race for the whole UnoX team in Mallorca, and also it was nice to see the guys in Marseille having a good race as well. So we believe that we're doing something right, even though we're not the biggest team.
If I hear you say that this is your first ever winter without problems, and you won Tour de l'Avenir in the past, third in the Tour de France stage, then there's a lot possible this year if everything keeps going well.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was the next step in my career, to have a winter without problems, and I think then I can take a next step in my development and become a more consistent and stable cyclist, and that's the goal for this year, and to just try to stay consistent and be consistently having good races. So
we hope it keeps going like that. Maybe back to the race for a moment. You already talked about Marius Meyerhofer. He came back in the descent. Super impressive as his type of rider, because he isn't a climber, but then he had to everyone was looking at him, of course, because he was a sprinter, the fastest sprinter in the group, so he had to follow every attack, and then he was also cooked a bit himself. So Pelayo Sanchez took the win, which you definitely wouldn't expect. I would expect Marius to finish first and you to finish second, but you guys were cooked, so Sanchez could take the win.
Yeah, that's the thing that's nice about racing. You never know what's happening in the end, and it's also a bit hard when you sit in that group and you think, should I follow this guy or not, or should someone else take responsibility? And then sometimes you just have to go with it, and sometimes you're making a wrong decision and sometimes a right decision. And the Movistar guy made all the right decisions, and he got a well-deserved win. So I hope I'll make one of those decisions in the next races.
And Igor Arrieta, he was impressive in both this race and in Tramontana. He attacked a lot. maybe not the first guy who you would expect this to do. He made a big step at UAE over the winter, I think.
Yeah, it was impressive, and I think if he wouldn't have crashed in the end there, it would have been exciting for him and Van Eetvelt. Maybe they would have won from that group. So it was a bit of a shame that he crashed. But also one of the new guys that's just crazy good from the start. And I feel that I'm young, but those guys are much younger. So I need to work even harder now.
Yeah, it was a pretty silly crash too, to be honest, because he went through that corner a lot better than Lennart van Eetvelt, but he touched his pedal on the ground. So a pity that crash.
Yeah, I think he will not do that again. Try to pedal the corner, but it's a pity. But I think he will learn a lot from it, and you can see that guy he's gonna win some races in the future.
Yeah, exactly. On to the sprint races. First, Césaline Felanitix. Another very young guy, 19 years old. Paul Magnier won the race. Did you know him before the race? Did you had an idea that was going to happen, or didn't you expect that at all?
No, I think I didn't know the guy, but I think after the race, some of the other guys they told me that I think he was riding for Trinity last year.
Yeah, exactly.
He was a strong guy back then as well, but he and Lamperti just made the perfect corner into the last stretch, and it was impressive because I saw some watts that he did in the end there, and it's like mind blowing because I tried to stay at the front a bit for the UNX team and to try to keep them out of the wind, but it was like I could do 1 minute and then I was gone. My legs were cooked. So hats off to those guys being able to sprint after a chaotic final, and just crazy.
Yeah, what impressed me the most how a 19-year-old can just go and do that like on the last corner. He just blocks Dainese off, so Dainese can't take the front.
Yeah.
And then to produce that at the end for a guy who's in his second pro race is crazy.
Yeah, it must be a crazy feeling to just come into the pro scene and just be better than everyone else. And I think Christoph was also a bit mad at himself for braking too much in the corner. And the young guys doesn't brake, and you just need to go fast these days.
Yeah, because you really wanted in that last corner because Dainese rode visibly a faster sprint than him. And also what you said about how hard those last kilometers are in the sprint race. I think a lot of people don't realize that sprinters don't just have to sprint, but they also put out a big 5 minutes power at the end of, I think it was 7 watts per kilo for Paul Magnier. So that's for a climber, those are good numbers.
Yeah, and it's even harder to do it at the flat roads, and I think in that chaos, it's completely insane what those guys are doing, and I think it's a lot of respect for the sprinters because the amount of watts they have to do before the sprint are crazy, and then you have to do 1400 watts at the end of it. It's crazy, and I think I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm really happy that I'm a skinny guy that doesn't need to be in those mass sprints. So crazy.
On to Trofeo Palma, which Gerben Thijssen won just before Christoph. Was that a disappointing result for you guys because he just missed out on the win, or were you guys happy because Christoph is in amazing shape already?
I think, of course, you always want to go for the win, and the first seconds you're a bit disappointed because you saw that it was really close. But we looked at the finish a couple of times on the TV in the bus afterwards, and the way that Stian Fredheim and Tord Gudmestad and the whole team were putting Christoph into position, the last corners was really it was perfect, and I think we can have a lot of confidence in our sprint train for the coming season, and for them to be able to do it that early in the season and to to be so well corporate like a team in the end. It's really good. So for us, it was I think maybe the best race day of those 5 races, because it's a lot that needs to happen at the same time to be able to deliver Christoph in that position. And if they can do it in that race, they can do it in a lot of other races, and that's really positive for us.
And that was most impressive as well, because that like last 15k, the corners that was in that into run into the finish were a bit stupid, really, wasn't they? Let's be honest. It was like that 90-degree turn with like the boulevard in the middle with the grass, and everyone just kept going over it.
Yeah. It was crazy, and you need a lot of power to be able to stay at the front in those really tight corners, and it makes for a really explosive final, and even harder than a lot of the other finals that were in those 5 races.
And I think for Christoph, after such an easy race, I think he is relatively to the rest better after a tougher sprinter race. Getting beat by Gerben Thijs, who was in flat races one of the fastest sprinters out there. It's not too shabby of a result, let's say.
No, I think he was really happy with how that race went, and I think it's a lot of positive things he can take into Bessèges, because he's starting that race as well, and I think he will have a good season again. He always does something good every season, but I think it will be even better this year than last year. So it's crazy to see how he prepares for everything, even after, I think it's his 15th year as a pro now, and still the same aggressiveness, and he wants to do well in all the races, and it's impressive to see.
What as well was impressive to see is another young rider, Tim Thorn Tutenberg, coming 4th with the little development team with no lead out as well. It's crazy.
Yeah, I saw that guy, and really impressive what he did without a lead out, and I think he is also one guy that can be a good cyclist in the future.
I definitely want to watch. I think he got top 10 on all of the sprint stages, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even top 5 on 2, I think.
He's coming from the track. He's still doing track, so I think that's mainly due to that he can position himself so well, and that's exactly the effort you need at the end of a sprint race.
Yeah.
And from a guy like Alexander Kristoff, you said himself, 15 pro season, so a lot of experience. Do you also learn a lot of stuff from him while you are in different types of cycling, or?
I learn a lot, and I stayed with him as a roommate on Mallorca, and he's a bit of a funny guy, because he likes to to game, like playing games on his computer, and I think it just really shows that you need to keep your mind busy with something else than cycling, and you can't take everything too serious all the time, because you will get tired of it, and he knows how to to be good for a whole season, and to just keep on having the motivation to train. And I think it's most of the times he goes out training, he does 6 hours, because that's the only time he feels like he's training, and he's just a guy with a lot of motivation, and he's really good at executing training, even in bad weather, or if it's nothing that stops him. So I think we all can learn a lot from him, and he's a good example of how you should be as a cyclist.
Do you know what games he was playing?
I think he had some trouble with his Wi-Fi connection on the computer, so he had to buy a new computer while he was at Mallorca. So he was a bit disappointed with the computer he had, but I can't remember. It was some strategical war game that he needed to take over Europe, I think, or something. I don't know. I'm more into cars when I'm playing than strategic games.
Talking about Christoph's training, I was looking at his Strava earlier today, and I saw on in Spain on Team Camp in December, I think he did a 40-hour week. Like that's
Yeah.
something you never see from a pro, to be honest, unless it's in a Grand Tour. So yeah, to be able to even handle that kind of hours, that's insane.
It's crazy. He was riding out 1 hour earlier than everyone else, and then sometimes he was also doing an extra hour after everyone else was going in the shower. So yeah, he really shows that he still wants to be a good cyclist. And it was a lot of guys just saying that he went to UNX to have 3 easy years and then he will retire, but he's going full gas on training, and he really wants to do everything to be a better cyclist. And now I think for the first time in his whole career, he will go to altitude before the tour. And so yeah, he looks at everything and tries to be better. So it's inspiring to see after 15 years as a pro.
We already also saw last year in Dwars of Vlaanderen, he was in the early break the whole day with Lascano, and they carried it to have a good result at the end even. Also, like, purely to get in shape before Tour of Flanders. Like, that's an amazing mentality to have to go out in front the whole day. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. He is. I think that body has been through a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Tired after his retiring as a pro cyclist. I think he deserves a couple of easy years after his career.
And I also remember the image he was still with Intermarché, and then in the Tour where he was, suffering to the max, throwing his bike left to right on the climb, like he wasn't going to give up, and he even finished top 10 in that stage still. So yeah, that's amazing mentality.
Yeah, he's one of the guys in the world that's he's the best at staying at the wheel. If he decides that he will stay at that wheel in a race, he will do it. And that's even if it's 5 minutes uphill, he will like blow his lungs out to stay in the wheel. And it's crazy to see when he works, and his body is showing how much pain he is in, but still does it.
And in Palma, 2 rounds before, of two laps before the end, Emil Herzog rode away from the peloton and started cheering. So he thought he won. Yeah, do you have an idea how that can happen in the peloton nowadays with communication and everything?
I don't actually understand how that can happen, but I think you get a bit. It's like chaos all the time, and if you're doing laps in the end, at least for me, I never remember how many laps we're gonna do, or if it's 2 laps to go or 3 laps to go. I never know. I just need to hear it on the radio, and sometimes it's like you can't hear everything that the car is saying. If the car is far behind, then he maybe misheard something, or so I can understand that it's happening. But yeah, I'm glad it wasn't me, because it's a bit it's not a good feeling. But I'm sure he's taking it with a smile, and he will try again. I think so.
I think an early contender for out of context cycling compilation, I think, of the season already.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
nice to have that checked in January.
And then onto the Cadel Evans Great Road Race, a race in which Uno X didn't participate, also not in Tour Down Under. That's a decision to because there's a lot of races far in the season to not be in peak shape too early. I think for the Uno X riders.
Yeah, and I think maybe it was difficult for us to get invited to those races, because I think there's some other rules when it's in Australia, and they can have more teams, but I don't actually know. But I think it would have been cool to do those races, but yeah, we're still a small team, so it's easier for us to stay in Europe.
But it was an interesting race. Laurence Petit won it, second year pro, so again a very young guy. Trek also rode a very good race there. Simmons attacked, Mollema attacked at the end. Desfachon then grabbed the second place. Did you see any of the action from that race?
Yeah, I saw the last kilometers on just as a recap, but yeah, it was a nice sprint finish with a group that's not like pure sprinters. So it's always exciting to see how that unfolds. And I saw the speeds they were reaching was like 75 k's an hour. So it was a fast sprint, but yeah, impressive win from the Groupama guy.
And Ryan Archie, another very young guy, he also attacked in the race. He's from Ireland. I don't know if you know him. He was only his first race as a pro after Tour Down Under.
Yeah, I talked with him in Luxembourg, I think, last year when he was still at the development team of Jumbo, I think.
Yeah,
I think he's also had some problems with his knees.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I just talked with him a bit, but seems like a strong climber, and he was also quite good in Luxembourg, if I remember right, on some of the climbs. So yeah, seems like a nice guy. I just know that he is a good friend of Johannes Staunemite, which I also know. So yeah, it's good to see those with knee problems also having a good season start.
And Oscar Only, after just winning the stage on Willunga Hill, broke his collarbone. So yeah, that's a pity to start the season on high and then go to a low that quick.
Yeah, it happens so fast in cycling, and I think that's also why you need to enjoy all the races you do, because you never know if it's like you break your collarbone and it's 8 weeks until the next race. So it's changing fast in cycling, and you just need to think about the next day and not the next weeks, I think, because it can all change really fast. I think wasn't it also Aramburu in the last day in Mallorca, also crashed, and it's a shame.
Yeah, exactly. On to Grand Prix Marseillaise, a race which UNOX did race with Marcus Hulgaard in the group behind the attackers. Do you have an idea on how he is? Because he had a lot of troubles the last year, injuries, etc. at track. Now it seems that everything is okay again for him.
Yeah, I think he's been having a really good winter, and I know him quite well. He's a really, really nice guy, and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like he deserves so much more than he had the last 2 years, because I think he was just really unlucky with he had some COVID problems, and then he also broke his elbow, I think, and it was just a lot of different stuff that you really can't control. And it was a shame, because 2 years ago he was one of the world's strongest cyclists in the world champs, and also in a lot of the races in those years, and so hard to see him struggle the last 2 years. So I really hope he has a good season, and it seems like he's off to a good start now, and he's back at the team which he knows well from before. So I think for him it will be a really good season, and I hope he's back to his normal level, because then he's one of the strongest guys in the peloton.
Yeah, like you say, he returns to UNOX. He has been in your team before, and that's also the team where he got his most impressive results. Like you already talked about it, the World Champs in Leuven, Edri Harelbeke in the toughest races. That's where he gets his best results. He's like a kilojoules monster, it seems.
Yeah, he's one of like I said, the strongest guys, because he does well in the races that are the hardest races, and he was crazy strong 2 years ago, and I think if he just has one winter without problems, he will be back to his normal level, and then I think for UNOX he will be one of the best guys.
Yeah, I really hope that happens, because he's a very friendly guy. He always responds to my Instagram messages. And Grand Prix Marseillaise, it was a 1v1 sprint between Kevin Gignac, who already went on altitude before Marseillaise. So yeah, that's why he was, I think, one of the only not climbers in that were riding so impressive in the race, because he's like 1 meter 93, and he got Baudin on the climb with a big suffer face. So that's super impressive. And Baudin, who bounced back after his problems, he had some problems with tramadol last year, and he's bouncing back after that. So that's amazing to see. How did you look at that race?
It looked like a hard race. We watched it on television in the bus when we were going to the airport after Mallorca races. But I did the race 2 years ago, and I remember it being really hard. And the climb in I think 30 k's from the end or something is really hurts your legs. And it was nice to see a race where the attackers went all the way in, and I think it was a cool race to watch. And you saw that the race win meant a lot for Genets. I think it's so nice to see guys that doesn't win too often, and how much it means. And I can really the one day you're feeling great and everything just falls into place. It's so like an amazing feeling, and feels like it's so hard to win a race until you do it, and then it just means the whole world. And it's nice to see a guy getting that feeling.
Yeah, it was really lucky as well by 82R with Baudin though as well, because in that chasing group that was chasing the two groups, and like literally I think it was like 5 or 6 maybe 82R riders, and then it went down to like Parry Pontra and stuff like that, and they were just blocking all the attacks really. And I think Andreas also did an attack as well near the end, but he just couldn't bridge it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it looks like it was a lot of guys in the second group that were strong, but it wasn't possible with all the guys from Groupama and Arche Dessert.
Yeah.
It's hard for a Norwegian to pronounce.
Vauquelin also did a very impressive attack on the last climb, which wasn't super steep, but at one moment it looked like he was going to bridge solo to the two leaders. But he got because they were playing a bit in the last kilometer. He got to 10 seconds, but he was never going to catch them. It's still a very impressive ride.
Yeah, I saw the guy. First I thought, he's going too hard, but then he managed to stay away from the group behind and almost catch the guy in the front. So I was actually saying to Bugge in the bus that I think he goes too hard, and Bugge says no, he will be third, and then he was right and I was wrong.
It was also a very rapid descent as well down into Marseille. They were absolutely flying. I noticed that last year as well with Paulus, I think, who did the solo attack. You're just able to hold your attack that you've done on the top of the climb.
Yeah, and I think it was also tailwind in the last 30K, and I think that makes it it's a good race to watch on television, because then it's not a group that just waits for the sprint. It's guys fighting it out in the front, and it makes for good racing.
And also somewhere in the final, I think with like 20 k's to go, some riders crashed pretty hard. I know Liam Slock was between them.
It was O'Darney. Was Menton? I think maybe Menton was in.
Yeah, also his whole back was open.
His whole back was completely gone. It was around 80 kilometer on the bend as well. It looked quite dangerous because there was like a little bit of a drop right next to the barrier. Scary.
Yeah. It looked really scary, and I think also Jonas Widerberg from our team was hitting the ground, but I think he was okay, and I hope all the other riders were. But I remember those descents are quite technical and with some steep corners, and that's the thing I hate the most about pro cycling, is all the fast descents.
And Liam Slock put a photo on social media of his helmet, which was like completely gone, like scratches and a hole in it. That his helmet saved his life. So that shows the importance of a helmet once again, I think. And Pierre Gauthieron, another very impressive youngster again. Finished fourth, winning the group sprint from the peloton behind the attackers. Yeah, also a very interesting rider, I think, who can be a very good classics rider in the future and maybe already this year. I think, I don't know if you know him.
No, I haven't heard. I'm trying to watch as much cycling as possible, but yeah, you need to do a bit of training as well, so it's hard to follow everything. But yeah, I try to do my research with when I go to a race to see who all the guys are. But I feel like I'm new to cycling, and I still have to learn a lot and learn a lot of who the guys I race and compete against are. So yeah, feels like I'm still new. So.
If there's ever a punchy finish to a race and Pierre Cotera is participating in you or two, you really have to watch him.
I will remember his name now and try to look for him in a sprint.
Maybe some extra questions about your 2024 season. You're a very good climber, obviously, but you're also a very good puncher. Like, are you going to focus on one of those two things, or are you going to combine them? Or
I think like modern cycling, you can see that a lot of guys are trying to do more stuff, and I think for me it's also keeping the motivation high to do a bit of both. I think for me to just focus on the climbing, it would be a bit too hard mentally, because I really like the explosive races, and I hope to do well in both the Ardennes and also Strade Bianche. That's one of my dream races, and for that you need to be a good climber, but you also have to be quite explosive and also be good at riding descents on gravel. So yeah, that's maybe the race in the spring that counts the most for me this year, I think.
Yeah, because it's like such a strange race, Strade Bianche, because it's like you can win there as a classics rider like Wout van Aert, Mathieu van der Poel, Cancellara, those types of riders, but you can also win there if you're called Pogacar or even Bernal almost won it, who isn't that explosive. And yeah, you are both types of riders, so that's a very good race for you, and then I think.
Yeah, and I also really enjoy going out training on gravel. So I do that a lot here in Norway, and yeah, I think it's just nice to race on gravel. So or I hope I think it's nice, because I haven't done it yet. Maybe I hate it, but no, I think that's my dream race for now.
It always looks super sketchy to me. Like last year, Tom Pidcock attacked at that downhill gravel section, went through the corner with like 80 k's an hour. Like, how can you stay upright on gravel doing that? I wouldn't be able to do that on the proper roads.
No, it's crazy, and but yeah, I feel more safe when it's wet, maybe, or when it's technical, because then I feel like it's more about how you handle the bike. But when it's dry and it's fast, then I think it's more about who are the most crazy, because then it's just fast and you don't need to be a skilled bike rider to go fast on dry roads. But on gravel, you need to have a bit of technique, and I think I'll have. It's good that I've been doing some mountain bike and cyclocross for that race, and yeah, I hope that it will help me a bit in that race.
I will definitely keep an eye on you for that race. And the World Championships, it's super tough race. I think it's even for puncheurs like Alaphilippe, it's maybe too tough. It's like really for climbers, is that the race where you have ambition in?
Yeah, it feels like it's a long way until the Worlds, but for sure I really want to ride the World Champs, and it's a course that can suit me quite well, I think, and I hope to go to the Tour and be selected for that. And I think if I go to the Tour, I really showed last year that I could keep the legs throughout the whole season, and then it would be possible to go for a good result in the World Champs as well.
Maybe you can play out the dream team again with Johannes Kulset there.
Yeah, I think it would be possible, and I think also Leknessund and my twin brother as well. He is getting into some good form as well. So we could have a really strong team from Norway this year.
Yeah, that sounds like a very good team indeed. And talking about your future, X, do you feel like that's the perfect team for you?
Yeah, I really feel it's the best team for me and my twin brother right now. And we have a coach that really believes in us and is really good at taking care of the human behind the cyclist as well. And feel like for us it's the safe place to be. And it's also a team in that are growing a lot and have been growing a lot the last years. So it's not a team that are just looking to stay where they are. They really seek forward, and I think now with we get a new boss in Tor Hushovd, and we'll maybe take the next step in that development as well, because he's been a cyclist before. He knows the game, and yeah, Jens have been doing a crazy amount of work to get the team where it is today, and now we have a guy that can take over and take us hopefully to the next step, that is the World Tour, and then yeah, that's the goal for the team. And for that to happen, we need to ride a lot of races and do really well, and that's my goal as well. So I think for me it's the perfect team to be in. That's why we made an extension for 3 years.
And also the scientific side, I saw a lot of tweets in the Tour de France last year from your nutrition boss. A lot of interesting tweets of what you guys eat before and after stage, but also the TT bikes with the watch up equipment. How does Inuix on the scientific side compare with the top teams like UE, Jumbo, Ineos?
I think we're still a small team, and I think that's really an advantage in those situations, because we can turn around quite quickly, and we have a lot of really good people around us now. You mentioned James Moran, the nutritionist. He's been working with Ineos before, but now he works for us, and I think he's still developing every day and seeks new information about everything. And yeah, he's a really top guy as well, and he has helped me a lot and a lot of the other guys. And we have those kind of guys in every development or department of the team. And we have a guy that works on aero stuff and makes new bikes with Dare, and yeah, there's a lot of exciting things going on around the team. And I think in some parts we're on World Tour level already, and I think the development side is one of that parts where we're really taking a step forward.
Yeah, we also saw Søren Werenskild winning the TT in the Baloise Belgian Tour last year against top riders. You don't win a time trial if the equipment isn't on point, so that says a lot about the equipment. Also the under 22 Worlds, where he performed very well.
Yeah, it's I think we're really lucky with a lot of the sponsors we have, like DT Swiss. I think the team has tested all the wheels that are on the market, and DT Swiss was the fastest, and we're lucky that they sponsored the team as well. So it's like we have good equipment, and we have a lot of guys that are testing a lot of equipment for us, and so we know that all the things we work with is one of the fastest on the market. And I think it's more up to us as cyclists now to be able to deliver the results. I think the foundation is there for us to perform.
I think Warren Show's win was against Van der Poel, wasn't it, as well, which is
exactly
even more crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's also, I think, the sweet protection helmet, the Darth Vader helmet, is one of the things that are developed within the team. And you can see it's looks crazy, but there's a lot of development going on behind the scenes. And I'm proud that we are a team that do such stuff and try to take a step forward.
Yeah, I remember Stefan Bissiger. He was the first one to ride with a crazy helmet like that. A lot of guys made fun about it. Then he started winning World Tour TTs, and then suddenly the helmet was worn by a lot of different teams. So yeah, it's always interesting to see those new equipment choices.
Yeah, and it looks crazy, but it's fast. So yeah, then I'm happy.
Exactly. Ethan, I don't know if you have any more questions.
I don't have any more questions. No.
Okay, then I'm going to wrap up today's podcast. Thanks, Eden and Tobias, for joining, and thanks to the audience for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you back in no time for the Cyclocross Worlds preview. Bye bye.
I've got the spores, the sickness. Let's be twins.